Season's greetings, armchair Imagineers. BlueDragonFive here with a special end of the year edition of Disney Debates. Tonight's roster of questions include the following: Best Disney Film of 2018, Most Anticipated Disney Film of 2019, and Best Walt Disney Film of the past 10 years. Alright, so before they cue the old lang syne, let's head to the arena to greet our Walt Disney Warriors, as it were. In this corner, it may be better, faster, and stronger after his Floridian adventure, but will it be enough for Tiki?
We don't pick the ballroom, we just dance.
And in the opposing corner, the man. Sorry. This man will be staying up New Year's playing Marvel Spider-Man game, I'm sure, and I don't blame him. It's Jacob Wile.
Yep.
My money's on Jacob playing Brothers over Spider-Man.
I tried to think of a funny Spider-Man quote, but I couldn't.
How we doing, guys?
Good. I think this is I always look forward to the end of the year debate because it's always a pretty unified set of questions. I like sticking to traditions. I believe this is I want to say this is the third year that we've done this specific kind of type of questions.
Probably.
I know this is at least the second year that we've done like best of the year, most anticipated of next year, and then like kind of a legacy question is the last one. So I like the consistency. Keep the consistency train going. Hoot hoot.
Yay.
All right, boys. Little refresher for those. It's been a while since we've done this, so a little refresher. Very simple. 3 rounds, which means 3 questions. At the end of 3 rounds, of course, let me rephrase the 3 rounds. Of course, pretty much standard format at this point. We're gonna have the opener. The opening state. We're gonna go around. We're gonna reveal our picks. We're going to then have an opening statement. Then we're gonna fight it out. And when you hear my buddy, here are 2. He's the bell, which means I've heard enough. I'll make a deliberation, and then decide who the winner is and who just disappoints me in life in general. Okay. At the end of 3 rounds, enter the coin. Now, the coin, folks, little thing completely optional. At the end of 3 rounds, I will offer each of our competitors here the opportunity to flip a coin. Coin comes up heads, well, that person gets a point. Comes up tails, not so lucky, lose a point. All right, you gentlemen understand these rules as I have explained them here in this fine evening.
Yep.
Jacob, I need verbal confirmation.
I said yep.
Making sure. Okay.
I'm going to need verbal confirmation.
Yes. Okay, to the randomizer. Of course, folks like Vegas, we got an alphabetical order here. Going to randomize it, make sure it's all legit, so to speak. So he's going to go first. And Mr. Lucky is Tiki for a change. What do you know?
What do you know?
All right, boys, you ready for round numero uno?
For once, it's not me. For once, it's not me.
Yes, for once, it's a New Year's miracle. All right. Round numero uno is...
It's not this. Hold on.
There
we go.
Well, there we go. Okay. What is the best Disney film of 2018? And yes, folks, it's all on the table. And these two dynamos here have chosen. Well, let's find out what they've chosen. Tiki, what did you choose?
I chose Mary Poppins Returns.
I went with Incredibles 2.
Bold choices. Very nice. Okay. Tiki, opening statement.
So, Mary Poppins Returns is everything I ever wanted it to be and more. It's a completely magical movie. Emily Blunt's performance is just, to use a cliche here, I'm sorry, but it totally fits. Her performance is practically perfect. Lin-Manuel Miranda is freaking adorable, and he has as bad of a British accent as Dick Van Dyke did in the original, which makes it fit in like a glove. I honestly think the songs in this movie are a little bit better than the songs in the original movie by all intents and purposes. I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing tops Feed the Birds, but just the sheer dynamic vocabulary and the songwriting, all the different wordplay and stuff. The original songs, only had very simple verses and choruses, and these songs in this movie just kind of go all over the place. And I just think that this is far and away the best of the current live action sequel remake trend that Disney's been on. I feel like it's very important that it was done by a creative team that actually cares very, very passionately about the project. And it's not just a rehash. I mean, by all intents and purposes, it's not the most original movie of all time. I'll completely admit that it follows the structure of the original Mary Poppins to a T. By that extent, I basically consider it the Force Awakens of the Mary Poppins verse. But you know what? The Force Awakens brought so much joy to the Star Wars fan base, and because I'm kind of on the fringe of being a big Star Wars fan, like I like Star Wars, but more from like a pop culture appreciation point of view, less, getting like obsessed with the mythology. And so to me, Mary Poppins Returns kind of gave me that elation and just sheer sense of visceral escapism that I believe The Force Awakens gave to a lot of Star Wars fans when that film first released. Is it going to hold up over time? Only time will tell. But like, for all intents and purposes, this film is kind of my Deadpool. It's something that I've looked forward to for a long, long time, and it didn't disappoint. It completely delivered on every level for me.
Okie dokie. Jacob.
Okay, and I have another long-awaited sequel, except not nearly as long, only about a decade and a half rather than over 50 years. I went with The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2 is like sorry. Incredibles 2 is also a movie that many people were waiting for. It's pretty much the year of sequels people have been waiting for. Pretty much that's pretty much in Disney's entire roster this year.
Infinity War 2.
Infinity War, like pretty much sequel. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this pretty much. The way Incredibles 2 is, it's pretty much like the original movie never left. Like, pretty much picks exactly where it left off, and it keeps that breakneck pace going. It's exactly what it's. While Mary Poppins Returns is a good way to close the year, this encapsulates everything a summer blockbuster should be and more. Like, it perfectly captures this nostalgia of waiting for the movie, but it doesn't disappoint in the slightest. Picking up where it left off, and it tells a gripping story full of humor, family, and heart that the original was known for, and it does a lot new, and it moves into the franchise into a bold direction, which actually can open up for a lot more potential in the future. The animation, as always, is gorgeous and stunning at the top of his game, and face it, as I said, it's a perfect summer blockbuster. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. Sorry, I had a long day, guys.
That's all good.
The movie, in my personal opinion, the original movie is one of my favorite Pixar movies and one of my favorite animated movies in general. And this movie definitely lived up to the expectations set. And I think it's the best. And I think it's definitely, while it's not the best animated movie of the year, that would definitely go to Into the Spider-Verse. This definitely probably comes in second place, if you ask me, for me. But as far as Disney stuff goes, this is definitely their best animated feature this year. It just shows exactly what the team at Pixar is capable of. Even with a shorter time strain, because this movie lost a year of production, it still shows that they had them. It still shows they can still make, pardon the pun, an incredible experience. And that this movie is an experience, and one that's definitely lives up to expectations, and and definitely needs to be watched.
Okay, boys, fight it out and break out the noisemakers while you're at it.
Oh man, I don't know where to begin with Incredibles 2 because I feel like if Mary Poppins Returns is The Force Awakens, then The Incredibles 2 for me is The Phantom Menace. Because I was so let down by Incredibles 2 after being elated by it on first viewing. On first viewing, I was right there with you, Jacob. I was like, this is awesome. The unfortunate thing about Incredibles 2, I feel like, is that it just simply does not hold up to scrutiny. I feel like there's a lot of things that are just don't really fit into place with The Incredibles 2. Mary Poppins Returns to me is basically a plot hole proof movie. It's all about escapism. It's all about, giving over to the fantastical. And, one of Mary Poppins' motto in the movie is, like something to the extent of nothing is impossible. Everything. I don't want to directly quote it because I'll misquote it. But
everything is possible, even the impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jacob. I think my big problem with The Incredibles 2 is that it's half of a great sequel. I love everything with Bob and the kids. I'll completely give you that, Jacob. Like, I'll just throw the argument right to you right there. It's everything with Bob and the kids is fantastic. It's really the Helen side of things that I have a major, major problem with, and that's where the movie just simply doesn't hold up under scrutiny. I mean, whether or not it's the total weak sauce villain that doesn't hold a freaking candle to Syndrome in any way, shape, or form, or if it's the fact that Helen is being a total hypocrite and basically like living it up in the same way that she chastised Bob for doing like a month ago in the timeline of the Incredibles series. I didn't need Incredibles 2 to be a time jump like I initially thought, because they did do some fantastic stuff with Bob and the kids. But the Helen plotline, unfortunately, and then also the lame superheroes, like all the lame, weirdly designed supers that come in, like Void was hyped up as this big new addition, and she gets like maybe 10 words of dialogue in the whole freaking movie. I don't know, man. There's parts of Incredibles 2 that are going to be iconic, like the raccoon fight. But all in all, I simply think that Mary Poppins Returns is just consistently the better movie. It's the movie that, like, there's a couple wonky things with Mary Poppins Returns that you may or may not bring up, Jacob, and I'll admit to them. But I mean, just through and through, I feel like Mary Poppins Returns is much more ironclad and like complaint proof than Incredibles 2 is. Incredibles 2 to me is much more imperfect.
Yeah, see, I see. Well, you might see that, but I can also see plenty of cracks forming in Mary Poppins as well. Like there are plenty of cracks. What?
I said, have at it. I'm ready to defend them.
As you yourself mentioned, the plot of the film is completely derivative of the original. You can completely see what's going to happen a mile away. I mean, everything that happens in this movie, pretty much in the first one, barring a few scenes, you know, pretty much anything that's going to happen. And so quite frankly, a lot of it just felt forced. Like a lot of it, Mary Poppins, and if you ask me, this movie didn't really have much of a natural flow. Just like it's just a plot where stuff happens for the sake of it. They could have cut out a lot of things. I mean, I'm not talking about the musical numbers because we definitely did the musical numbers for a Mary Poppins movie. Just a lot of stuff that could have been cut out, and it would have still been pretty much the same movie. I mean, so it would have been pretty much the same movie. a lot of it just like there's a lot of just unnecessary padding. The plot is entirely predictable. Some of it, and if you're talking about like hyped up cameos, like Dick Van Dyke, like he was hyped up and he was only appeared for a single scene and didn't even do much.
No. All right, I'm not gonna let you finish on that one because Dick Van Dyke was one of the most memorable parts of the movie for me. I don't even care if he was only on for about 2 minutes of screen time. I don't give a crap. That's where they reprise Feed the Birds. That's where Feed the Birds goes full circle into the Mary Poppins story. And I just think his story of young Michael Banks and, you know, the payoff to all that. And then not to mention we get to see Dick Van Dyke's freaking tap dance on a desk. No, it's like some of your other complaints are valid, but Dick Van Dyke's cameo, I have no problem with that. Especially because it's where Feed the Birds gets brought back into the picture.
Alrighty. But and addressing
here's the thing, I feel like there's just as much of a sense of been there, done that with Incredibles 2, because Incredibles 2 is basically just a gender swap version of the first movie. You've got the father staying at home with the kids and doing the more domestic kind of stuff, whereas you've got the mother out on the big superhero stuff and out on the mission. The unfortunate thing about Incredibles 2, though, that makes it really not stack up to the original in the same way that I feel like Mary Poppins Returns, yes, it's derivative, but it's derivative in a Force Awakens effective escapism kind of way. Incredibles 2, I don't feel like the pieces line up. Like when Bob and the kids meet up with Helen in the final act, I don't really think it's as earned and as satisfying as it is when they all meet up on the island, because they're just all randomly on the cruise ship together, and it's just not as big of a build-up and not as big of an emotional payoff when they all get back together. They haven't been separated for as long. It's simply a finale where the stakes just feel lower all around.
I see. I have to disagree. I think this movie actually paid off quite a bit with that. The movie didn't exactly use the first one, and it did play a bit off of it. It actually moved it, like I said, it moved it into a bold new direction and tried new things. Even with the whole, as you call it, gender swap thing, it tried to be different and new with that. It showed that both sides are actually. It shows that both of them are actually seeing so both sides are seeing their perspective. Ellen even acknowledges that, like, yeah, I was criticized. I can't believe I was chastising Bob for this. She's like, she realized that maybe she was wrong for him for doing that. Like since the movie itself acknowledges that, it allows itself to play with that a bit more, and it shows both sides growing, both sides of the family growing as a result of that.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I think the movie even tried.
Even still, you can't deny that Screenslaver is just incredibly weak as a villain.
I don't think she was exactly weak. I mean, I think it has, as you mentioned, she's no Syndrome, but I don't think she's entirely a weak sauce villain, as you mentioned.
I mean, I just think the motivation just makes no sense at all. I honestly feel like if Bob Odenkirk's character was the villain, the motivation would make more sense. I feel like it'd be
your villain was a banker who just held on to children's money.
Okay, my villain, I'm glad you bring this up, Jacob. You're falling right into my trap here. My villain was the banking system in itself, which was the villain of the first movie as well. Yes, it's personified by Colin Firth, but I mean, Colin Firth isn't exactly an evil guy. He's more of just like a shrewd businessman. And I honestly feel like, in a way, them adding a proper antagonist to the film gives the film more stakes. You know, we get that perilous sequence during the 2D animated sequence, the chase scene, which is probably the most intense scene in the whole movie and really mirrors the struggle of the Banks family and losing the house and everything. And that's the thing about Returns, is I feel like Returns, just everything mirrors the first one so beautifully well. What I respect about Returns so much is that we get, like, everything feels so much in place. Admiral Boom's there. The freaking housekeeper Ellen is still there. And Admiral Boom and Ellen get more to do in this movie than they do in the original movie. This movie is filled with, like, completely just all kinds of magical realism, like building a human ladder to get up to Big Ben, to turn Big Ben back 5 minutes to stop time. I fucking love that kind of shit. I live for that shit when it comes to Mary Poppins. And it's just, Mary Poppins just delivers on the whimsy so much so. Incredibles 2, I feel like it kind of has the same problem I honestly have with the first one, in that it's just, I don't know, it's not the most rewatchable movie for me. It's one of those movies where, like, Incredibles 2 is a movie where I'll go back and I'll watch the Jack versus the raccoon fight over and over again, but I'm not going to go back and watch the whole movie over and over again, whereas Mary Poppins Returns just kind of sweeps me up in it from beginning to end. And what you might consider filler in that movie, I honestly think the original Mary Poppins has more filler than Returns does, because in the original Mary Poppins, you have to sit through 2 songs that are essentially how, gee, don't these parents suck? And then 1 song of the kids just being like, this is exactly what we want Mary Poppins to be like. We're going to just spell out her character for you. And that's like a solid half hour of the movie before Mary Poppins even shows up. In this, they get to it. And yeah, you do see Michael Banks struggling, and Michael Banks, you know, kind of having his own arc. But Michael's arc in this movie is even more, like, it's even more relevant than Mr. Banks's arc in the first movie. It might not be told as freaking poignantly and as Shakespearean-esque as the Disney movie. You know, don't get me wrong, it doesn't have that same sort of operatic quality to it. But my God, Ben Whipshaw goes through a freaking myriad of emotions in Mary Poppins Returns. I mean, he's wistful, he's nostalgic, he's freaking heartbroken over the death of his wife. But at the end of the day, he's like, I love the whole full circle arc of Michael, you know, floating up and learning to be a kid again and accepting that everything lifts my heart. I feel like through and through, there's stuff in Mary Poppins Returns that is better done than the original. Like, I honestly think Skip a Little Light Fantastic is, or I'm sorry, Trick a Little Light Fantastic is Trip a Little Light Fantastic is a better song than Step in Time. It's a better song than Step in Time, because Step in Time is just do this thing, step in time, do this thing, step in time. Whereas Trip a Little Light Fantastic incorporates all this different, like, it incorporates legitimate British slang of the time period into the rhythmic structure. I mean, how freaking awesome is that from a songwriting point of view? Just everything in this movie. I could keep gushing about how good this thing is. And I feel like I'm kind of playing from a disadvantage, because I know that Dragon has not seen Mary Poppins Returns, and he has seen Incredibles 2, and obviously he's a big fan of Incredibles 2. So I don't know, man. I'm just going at this with my heart. You know, it's like, in my heart of hearts, Mary Poppins Returns is honestly one of the most satisfying cinematic experiences I've had in my adult life. I can safely say that. It was not a freaking Jurassic World by any stretch. It was like the anti-Jurassic World. It lived up to everything I wanted it to be.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I think I can top that, and I'm kind of fighting an uphill battle here.
Okay.
All right. Okay, first of all, I don't like what Tiki's insinuating at all with any of that, by the way. All right, but looking at it from the argument, a little credit, please. Thank you. Looking at it objectively, folks, here's what I'm looking at here. I'm impressed that Jacob, I was initially worried how Jacob was basically letting kind of Tiki basically go at him for a while with a lot of lobs against Incredibles 2. Jacob, he did find his footing, kind of dug himself out of the hole a little bit there. But I got to tell you, I didn't see as many shots against Mary Poppins Returns, really. And, of course, Tiki, I think, just, you know, and Tiki kind of tapped into defense of his sequel versus, again, it's funny, we're kind of talking about 2 sequels here, of his sequel versus the other.
Mary Poppins would have been my first pick, too. Saying all those things was physically painful.
Right. Well, the point goes to Tiki.
All right. Appreciate it.
Saying all those things was painful. I would. Tiki got first pick. I would have gone with Poppins too.
Well, to be fair, Ezra originally chose Poppins, and then he dropped out, and then I kind of grabbed for it, so it was kind of like a weird situation with that. So
yeah, and I didn't really have much other option. I pretty much went with my best choice.
Well, you had. Let's not say you didn't have any other options, because I mean, again,
I know. I could have gone with it. I could have gone with Infinity War and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, Infinity War, in my humble Elf Breaks the Internet, is the best Disney animated movie of the year, not Incredibles 2, but
I still think you could have won with Incredibles 2, but, say la vie. All right.
Yeah, okay. All right, good fight, Jay.
It's just that Tiki could generally feel about Mary Poppins. Is just that's not the way I generally felt about The Incredibles. Is the way he felt about Mary Poppins.
Dude, I like I'm Mary Poppins. I mean, that's the thing. It's like Spider-Verse is probably going to still end up being my number one of the year just because of how innovative it is. But man, Poppins is a close second or third.
Hey, a little question: is this poster on the left genuine, or is it like fan made? When you found that, is it real?
I'm pretty sure it's genuine.
Cool.
Yeah, Pixar released it themselves.
Good, cool. All right. Anyway, so that's an unrelated note. Back to the related notes. Okay, round number 2. What should be the most anticipated Disney film of 2019? Boys, I want you to sell me a ticket here. Tell me, of course, I'm going to see both of these movies, but I'm saying I want you to sell me on it even more so. Again, not just sell me, sell the audience at home. Like, sell myself and also Pink Pearl Apple, who's in the comments right now. Sell us.
Nice.
And whoever else is watching or tuning in at this juncture, sell us on these movies. So who has what? Tiki, what do you got?
I got Toy Story 4.
Jacob.
I have Star Wars Episode 9.
All right, Tiki.
Okay, I'm going to keep this very simple. Toy Story 4 is coming out 9 years after Toy Story 3. There's a reason why these Toy Story movies wait as long as they do between sequels. It's because they wait until they have a damn good story to tell. Like back when Muppets Most Wanted came out and they made that joke about, we'll wait for Tom Hanks to make Toy Story 4. Yeah, that was back when the idea of Toy Story 4 was a joke because Toy Story 3 was so fresh in everyone's heads. But now that a full decade has gone by since Toy Story 3 practically, like there's a whole new generation of kids that are growing up with the Toy Story movies. And, maybe their parents were in high school or college when Toy Story 3 came out. And so I strongly, there's no doubt in my mind that unlike the Cars franchise or even something like Finding Dory, which was good but had no real reason to exist, there's no doubt in my mind that Toy Story 4 exists for a reason, and it's a freaking legacy. It's a legacy series. It's honestly the best trilogy of movies that has ever come to the silver screen, bar none. It is the best trilogy, and there's a reason why they're doing a fourth one. I have to believe that they wouldn't wait this long and they wouldn't come out now if they didn't have something really poignant to tell. And more importantly, Dragon, you know exactly where I'm going to go with this argument. Tom Hanks, man, the Tom Hanks interview where he was quoted is like he was just emotionally shattered by recording the last lines of this movie. Like he couldn't look people in the eye in the recording booth recording the last lines of this movie. I mean, if that doesn't sell you on it right there, then I don't know what to tell you. Toy Story 4 is going to be a legacy movie from a series that, unlike Star Wars, is still incredibly fresh in people's heads and still very much revered. There's no Last Jedi in the Toy Story franchise. There's no Solo in the Toy Story franchise. There's nothing that really taints the waters. The Toy Story franchise is perfect, and I have no doubt in my mind that with Toy Story 4, it's just going to get more perfect.
All right, Big J.
All right. Okay, another victim of first pick. Okay, but never mind.
I'll remind you Endgame, so I don't want to
hear. Yeah, exactly.
I went with stuff that we didn't know much about. I know. I probably should have gone with that instead. Okay, I'll fight a nail for that. I'll fight tooth and nail. Star Wars. I'm one of the people, one of the majority of people that actually believe that this new Star Wars trilogy, barring stuff like Solo, which I actually did find okay, has been an extremely consistent, an extremely well done trilogy. Bringing back extremely well done. No, but I guess it can't be I guess it can't be considered. I guess it can't be considered a trilogy yet because it hasn't been released. But still, this has been proven that even though stuff like as Tiki pointed out in the previous argument, Force Awakens was derivative, it injected new life and joy into the Star Wars universe. The Last Jedi took that even further, taking it into bold new directions that we've never seen before. Episode 9 promises to take that even further and incorporate elements from the entire series as a whole. This is a series, and here's the thing: it's the conclusion of the entire Skywalker saga. That's a reason for itself to be excited. This series have been consistently great, and the stories have always been blown away. I'm always being blown away by these stories. Star Wars has a legacy lasting back years, and even though not every movie has been perfect, it's a movie that's permeated pop culture. And Star Wars Episode 9 is the culmination of pretty much the entire series previously. And considering that this movie is going to be featuring a time jump, as it's confirmed that there's been a time jump of a year, that itself raises so many kinds of anticipations. Is anything could happen in that amount of time, and anything can happen in this movie. We don't know much about it, but in my opinion, less knowledge equals more exciting, if you ask me.
Okay, boys, grab your lightsabers and pizza planet trucks and go at it, would you?
All right, I love The Last Jedi as much as any diehard Star Wars fan, but I am not looking forward to another round of just social media debate and every freaking video on YouTube being a Star Wars debate video and the fan base being cut in half yet again. It's at this point, man, Star Wars to me is more of a chore than it is an exciting
but that's not about
Disney is entirely to blame for it. They've completely normalized Star Wars. I mean, Solo wasn't in the main line of films, but it hurt the brand, man. It really did. And you said it yourself, Jacob. You said it as good as anyone could say. You basically made my argument for me when you said Solo was okay. You're right. Solo was okay. There's no reason for there to ever be an okay Star Wars movie. There's no okay Toy Story movie. Even the Toy Story shorts and Toy Story of Terror and Toy Story That Time Forgot, all those are really good to great. I mean, Toy Story is a legacy franchise. It's far more consistent.
Your argument seems to be more lying towards the fan base rather than the movie itself.
And I'm completely sick of the fan base, and the fan base is going to kind of ruin the movie experience for me. That's kind of why I'm not excited for Episode 9. That's why I'm not looking forward to it.
You can completely ignore
it has tainted Star Wars for me.
You can completely ignore the fan base or completely ignore what they're saying. I mean, as the fan base completely
you know as well as I do that you can't just completely ignore the Star Wars fan base. I mean, I just unabashedly loved The Last Jedi and not second guess myself, but unfortunately there's this giant fucking stigma, and if you say that you love The Last Jedi, it's like you just kicked a puppy or something.
Drop kick the puppy.
And here's the thing, though. Did we really need another Toy Story movie? Toy Story 3 concluded the series perfectly. Toy Story 4, I mean, without completely reinventing the series, it might just be another movie. I mean, for all we know, it could end up being average. And just ending is that tearjerker we've been waiting for. it's like it's the journey, not just the destination. The movie itself could just be we're looking for to being entirely averaged. I mean, it could be another Finding Dory
or another Incredibles 2.
Fair point.
All right.
Okay, you're using your own. Now you just used your own point. You used your own point against yourself.
Okay, look, I know, but I saw the opening. I had to get a jab of Incredibles 2 in there. Do with that what you will.
Or even Monsters University.
Oh, all right. Look, we know very little so far, but literally everything we know about Toy Story 4 has me excited. We know that it's going to have that to me is like a very, very dynamic. Like, we don't know what the whole film's going to be set in the carnival, but judging by the poster and the Key and Peele teaser trailer, we can imagine that at least an act of the movie is going to be in a carnival. And that right there kind of opens up the possibilities of like new ways that the toys can interact with the world and new environments, new atmosphere. And we also know that it's going to be a very existential movie with the Forky character. We know that Forky is going to introduce a whole new element of world building in the Toy Story mythos. Not only that, but the main plot of the movie is going to tie up the one major loose end that we all had with the Toy Story series, which is Where is Bo Peep? But the great thing is they're not making Where is Bo Peep the crux of the whole movie, like, something like Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock was. They're making it kind of like the jumping off point to continue to explore the thematic integrity and all the interesting ideas that make this franchise what it is.
Fair deal. But the movies already, the previous movies already discussed discovered things about existentialism as well. I mean, it's not entirely a new theme.
But we've never seen an inanimate object come to life through the power of imagination, which is what the Forky character implies, and that in itself.
But don't all these inanimate characters come to life?
You know what I mean.
It's just your wording. It's an entire series about inanimate characters coming to life.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual movie of Episode 9 for a minute. Let's not focus on the fan base because I don't want my entire argument to be around the fan base. I mean, frankly, I just feel like Episode 9, the production of Episode 9, as we know, has been a little bit of a rocky road so far. They had Colin the Hack Trevorrow attached to it for some time, and then they had to completely get him out of the picture after last year's documentary completely flopped. And who do they get to direct it? They don't get someone new. They get J.J. Abrams, who's basically just. I mean, I like The Force Awakens, but I don't love The Force Awakens. And Abrams is basically just kind of going to be a guest man for Kathleen Kennedy, and I don't really want that. I want someone with more of a creative vision to end out this.
They pretty much openly. They've admitted in several interviews that he did admit that yes, Force Awakens was a bit derivative. He even admitted that himself. But he says there's a lot more creative freedom going on with Episode 9. And he's even brought in a new writer too. He has Chris Terrio, writer of Argo, in there. It's bound to be an entirely new experience.
All right, with Episode 9, first of all, I frankly think that we're to the point in Star Wars where it's very, very hard to have a new experience unless you set it in like the Old Republic timeline or something like that, like something completely fresh. I mean, it's like I feel like the Red Letter Media video just kind of summed it all up. We've seen the TIE fighters, we've seen the AT-ATs, like we've seen all this shit before, and it's not new, and it's not really even hitting the nostalgic goggles for us anymore. Because the new films have been with us for half a decade at this point.
And you said so yourself, like The Last Jedi, and I said earlier, as both of us said earlier, The Last Jedi did all that in the new, did a lot of new things with the franchise.
Look how divided that made to me, the fact that The Last Jedi was as divided as it was and as hated as it was, even though us two are in the minority of people who actually like that movie. It doesn't change. The Last Jedi is looked at as a failure, and they're going to take that failure and they're going to be like, let's make this as safe as possible. We have to go down the opposite route of The Last Jedi.
Think about this though. When The Empire Strikes Back first came out, that was seen as the black sheep sequel to the original, and now it's regarded as like the best film in the franchise. I mean, if social media existed back then, they would have.
The follow-up to Empire Strikes Back is regarded as like not a black sheep, but easily the weakest of the three movies, and that's the same direction I feel like Episode 9 is going to go down.
That's not necessary. That's not necessary, though. Not necessarily true, though. I'm just saying, like, the movie's all about parallels, and this series is all about like both using and subverting expectations. This trilogy, Episode 9, could just as easily surpass The Last Jedi, for all we know. Whereas Toy Story 4, it's like, what was it mentioned? You mentioned earlier, like the fan base and the consistency. Like we've seen as far as we can go with Toy Story. I mean, other than we've left Andy's room, we went to Sunnyside. Like the daycare doesn't seem like too exciting anymore.
No, but a whole carnival seems exciting to me. Like, a carnival is a suburban environment that's relatively small in scale for us as humans, but huge for a toy. And that, to me, is what excites me about the whole idea of toys going to a carnival. Like, there's so many set pieces you can have in that sort of setting. And I mean, I don't know, Jacob. I feel like after 3 movies, I'm not done with the Toy Story franchise. I'm really not. Like, I really thought that Toy Story of Terror and Toy Story That Time Forgot both nailed it out of the freaking park and kind of proved that Toy Story has a shelf life beyond just Toy Story 3. And to me, I feel like Toy Story 4 is going to be the culmination of that promise.
So do you think there'll be a Toy Story 5?
If there's a story worth telling.
All right. I mean, so, okay. But think about all the exciting look. I mean, it's full of and Star Wars Episode 9 could easily just go to these new locations too. Like, think of the boundless creativity and world scaling that you could see in Episode 9. I mean, Star Wars has no shortage of creative worlds, both in the original and the canon. In the canon and in the legends, and considering that these movies are drawing from the legends, there could easily be some very interesting new things. Like, and as I said, sometimes less is more. And I think that the lack of information that we currently have so far regarding that, I think is, for me at least, building anticipation for this. Like, what is this movie going to be like? What's it going to be? Like, what are we going to see? Like, what's going to happen? Where are these characters going to go? The Last Jedi set up a lot of interesting directions these characters could go, and we're finally going to see the payoff.
I mean, here's the tricky thing about doing a new approach and new stuff in Star Wars is, like, a lot of Star Wars is built upon nostalgia and member berries and all that sort of stuff. A lot of Star Wars is built upon seeing stuff that you already recognize. When the series goes too far outside the lines, there tends to be a backlash. Like, take the prequels, for example. The Phantom Menace was a radically different Star Wars movie from what we've gotten before. And I actually freaking respect The Phantom Menace more than a lot of people. I don't think it's a good movie, but I can see where it was going for, and it certainly has good stuff in it. But, I mean, with that in mind, I feel like there's more room to mess up if you go too far outside of the lines of what we expect from Star Wars. But then again, if you just give us something like and just regurgitate everything, then it's too familiar. So Star Wars, it's like a tricky fine line to make something that's actually fresh in the Star Wars universe for me.
You're forgetting you could actually have that same problem with Toy Story. As I mentioned, there's already been 3 of these. There's been 3 of these movies.
And how many Star Wars movies have there been?
There's not. There's obviously 8, of course, but
no. I mean, there's been like.
I'm not counting the story ones.
I mean, if you want to be technical, there's been 11 theatrical Star Wars movies released, but that's neither here nor.
Nor am I counting the Clone Wars.
Well, I don't see why. Like you could not count it, but that doesn't make it not a theatrically released Star Wars movie.
I've okay. By that I meant I was forgetting about it.
Okay, you can forget about it, but just because you're forgetting about it doesn't mean it's
All right. Okay,
there, Jacob.
Yo,
I didn't even get to make my final point.
you're done. Okay. So, all right, guys. I got to tell you, really, I'm impressed by you guys in this fight. I'm impressed, but I also think you both could have kind of upped the ante a little bit. And I will say this: there was a point where I think you both were starting to get there. And again, you guys have kept it very. I think you guys were evenly matched for a point, and then I think Tiki was in the lead. Then Jacob he found his rebound. Basically, there was a point where Tiki stepped on a landmine when he didn't mean to, and Jacob could have really just blown him away. But at the end, I guess the landmine was just it was a dud because nothing came of it, and vice versa too. I mean, Tiki could have buried Jacob too with something he said. I honestly, you guys, and nothing against you. You both did serviceable enough. I'm just saying that if you guys did some more research on the other movies, you guys could have killed each other for real. I mean, Jacob mentioned Chris Terrio, Tiki, Chris Terrio. Batman v Superman.
I like the movies.
What?
I said I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I think he's a genuinely okay. I mean, yeah, Batman versus Superman is awful, but we all have a bad day at the office.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think you had a hell of. You could have had a knockout if you held on him. You're footing on his throat in a way. But
Right.
anyway, okay. Anyway, so guys, here's what I'm coming down on. I really didn't.
Wait, what was the other landmine? What was mine?
Well, I don't want to. There was talk of change, basically the change in directors and everything, and basically production issues and such. But let's just anyway. Okay,
Technically, Toy Story 3 had a different director. It wouldn't have done much for me.
Well, I mean that's a fair point, but I mean there's been a lot of shakeups creatively with Toy Story. Right? I mean, changing writers. Basically, there's been a lot of Toy Story 4. Again, while it's the point is, there's been there are things you could have taken apart about the. Again, it's been delayed. It's been upped. It's been pushed. And my point is there's some production trouble that could be facing Toy Story 4 for all we know. Unclear. There's some uncertainty, is what I'm saying. I think that might have been like an opening for something, I guess. But anyway, so here's where it's coming down to, guys. I think you're evenly matched for the most part there. I feel, Jacob, you deflected a lot of the anti-Star Wars points. However, at the end of the day, I really did not hear nearly enough that wasn't just the same point about Toy Story 4. I just kept hearing that, it's, sorry, let me rephrase that. I basically kept hearing the three movies points over and over again. That's really what I kept hearing. Where it has three movies and you do a fourth, and I think Jacob was circling around. It was just kind of like it could jeopardize itself, but I don't think it was cutting the mustard. I'm gonna give the point. I'm gonna give the point to Tiki, but you guys were well matched on this one.
Okay.
Right now,
all right,
2-0. Okay. Round 3.
This is going to be an interesting one.
It's gonna be a really interesting one. Okay, round.
This is the one that by far I feel the least confident about.
Round number 3 is best. Sorry, what is the best Disney film of the past 10 years? Let me specify, best Walt Disney animated film of the past 10 years.
Wait, could it have been Pixar or animation?
No, it just could have been just specifically Walt Disney animation.
All right.
Again, basically, it was including Pixar. So best Walt Disney animated film of the past 10 years. That means from the points of 2018 to 2008, as we were working with here. Okay. All right.
I went with.
And I went with Zootopia.
Tangled and Zootopia. All right. Opening statement. What do you got?
Okay, if this question was what is the most culturally relevant Disney movie of the past 10 years, Zootopia would win hands down. But the question is, what is the best Disney movie of the last 10 years? And I honestly feel like that's Tangled. I feel like that's Tangled simply because Tangled is such an important movie in the Disney canon right now. It's the movie that kicked off the new Disney Renaissance, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the hell the kids are calling this new Disney
Jacob, what are
era
they
these
calling it
days.
again?
Disney revival.
Revival.
The revival. That's right. That's right. And in a lot of ways, Tangled was the revival. It really was. Tangled is this generation's Little Mermaid. And I mean, I just feel like Tangled has it all. It's got one of the most lovable protagonists and heroines of any Disney movie in Rapunzel, a character that just through the just by the release of the character design, let alone the actual movie, she became iconic. Flynn Rider is easily one of the best love interests in a Disney movie. I mean, just hands down, Flynn Rider just has it all. He's got the charisma. He's a bad boy, but he's also got a heart of gold. He's got a great backstory to him. I mean, Flynn Rider is just everything that a character could be. Maximus the horse is just one of the best horse characters and animal characters that Disney's ever done. The film itself, and of course, importantly, one of the main reasons why I picked Tangled. This isn't going to be like the basis for my entire argument, but it is a good bullet point. Tangled is like the only movie in this era that has a traditional Disney villain with like a hardcore, evil agenda right from the get go, and a classic Disney villain song. And I mean, Gothel is one of the darkest Disney villains that we've had. Like, she's up there with Frollo. It's like she is a straight up freaking kidnapper and abductor, and it's just her whole storyline is like super dark. And I mean, let alone that mixed with, of course, the groundbreaking and beautiful animation that kind of set a precedent for Disney moving forward. Um, the I Can See the Light segment is just freaking iconic. I feel like that segment's right up there with Let It Go in terms of, being one of the most iconic moments in Disney musically in the past decade. I mean, I could just keep going on. I feel like Tangled is a really, really special movie, and it kicked off so much.
Sorry, that was kind of funny.
No, I'm sorry. I had to cough. I was holding it in for like that whole diatribe. Anyways, go ahead.
I know there's just thought it was kind of funny timing.
All right, all right.
And as you mentioned, Zootopia probably is one of the more culturally relevant, but that's not the only thing that it has for it. And that it also makes it one of the best animated features not just one of the best Disney animated features, one of the best animated movies from anywhere. Period of the last decade. This movie, not only is it culturally significant, it also tells a very good story in of its own. It's like, talk about animation. There's so many details. There's so many minor details, characters in this movie. It's unbelievable. So the movie's socially relevant, has a great plot, great pace, great humor. And pretty much everything you can say about this movie is fantastic. The two leads, bar none, are better than a lot of other things we've seen. This is a film that plays to all of the studio's strengths. Sure doesn't have any musical numbers, which is one of Disney's strengths, obviously. But what it lacks in musical numbers, it makes up for with pretty much everything else that it does. A gripping plot, great characters, both main and side characters, important relevant message, breathtaking animation, including a lot of minor details that people are still even noticing and gushing over to this day. And pretty much an all-around great movie, socially relevant, funny, and pretty much a movie that has something for everybody. Playing to the studio strengths and the strengths of everything in general. Pretty much a movie that can't be missed.
All right, boys, fight it out.
Oh, and technically the revival started with Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, we're starting out swinging.
One could argue that. Princess and the
No,
Frog is
no, technically technically the first revival movie is considered to be Princess and the Frog. I mean, that's not meant to be a point or anything, but not to be like a point or anything.
It
but
is a
it's technically
fact check.
considered to be
Technically, he is right. It is the first. It was the one that kicked it off. If you really want to look at that, I mean, if we have that, we also have Little Mermaid as the start of it. Also, that's kind of what it counts as. So I'll tell you.
all right, but Tangled
I mean,
was the first. Tangled was the first CG Disney movie to really hit it out of the park, though. I mean, before Tangled, there was stuff like Meet the Robinsons, which I mean, that's a good film, and it's very nostalgic to Walt Disney and all that. So props to that. But we also have the fucking monstrosity that was Chicken Little. I mean, Disney did not have their shit together in the CG department before Tangled, and then after Tangled, literally every movie that Disney has done, CG wise, has been fantastic in some ways, shape, or form. So for that, just the legacy of Tangled unto itself, I just think is absolutely undeniable. Jacob, I honestly feel like Zootopia is just a movie that is too crowded. To me, it's got too much stuff going on. Like the plot is almost too complicated. Like I really feel like kids watching it are gonna just gravitate more towards the cute bunny rabbit and the funny fox. And I mean, I'm not saying the kids aren't going to get the social message because that is very well done, but I don't think kids are going to follow the whole, the drug plot and all the conspiracy stuff and all that. I mean, it's a very complicated, sort of intricate plot.
And that's why I said it's a very layered movie. It's a movie that can be watched and understood by pretty much anybody and enjoyed. While the kids would find it funny as they grow older, they'll notice the more intricate nature of this movie.
I feel like because there's so many characters in Zootopia, none of them besides Nick and Judy really get a chance to shine. I mean, some of them stand out. Like Bobo's really good thanks to Idris Elba. Of course, Flash has his memorable scene that was, completely spoiled in the trailer, but I digress. But really, besides that, it's like most of the characters in this movie are just kind of like side characters that pop up for like a scene or two.
The best characters in Tangled were the horse and the chameleon.
Okay, that's my point though. Tangled has a very limited cast of characters, but all of them are fucking memorable. Is all hell. I mean, the chameleon is amazing. The horse is great.
While there were some aspects of the Tangled things that were creative, a lot of them are just basically cookie cutter stuff that we've seen previously. Oh shit! Oh, the princess is lied away and wants to see the world. Oh, he's gonna come rescue her. Oh, they're gonna fall in love. Blah 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 blah. It's stuff we've seen.
Jacob, the parents in Tangled never utter a single word, and yet they are some of the most memorable parents in Disney history. That's how powerful, what a little bit of good storytelling can go in a movie like Tangled. Whereas, honestly, I feel like Zootopia is kind of a movie of just Easter eggs, and that honestly kind of puts me off. Like, I really feel like Zootopia is a little bit too crowded for its own good. I mean, there's just a little bit too much going on with it. Tangled is just such a simple movie, and Tangled is
Tangled there's a lot of times. And Tangled, there's a lot of times when not enough stuff is going on. Like there's too little going on in that movie. And sometimes it's hard to like pay attention to that movie sometimes because it just drags in some areas.
I mean, I disagree. It's a road trip movie. It moves at a very brisk pace to me. It very much clips along.
Now Zootopia, it keeps a pace, but I don't think the whole Easter egg thing is the main focus of the movie. I think that's the point is the move. Zootopia also moves at a brisk pace, but I can never really think of a point in the movie where it drags. I can think of several points in Tangled where it does.
Bellwether's plot. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Bellwether. Let's talk about just her plot. Like Bellwether might be.
Yeah, her plot was to spread fear and prejudice throughout the city.
Okay, but just like I get the whole like wolf in sheep's clothing element of Bellwether. I like that's fine. in an era of annoying Disney twist villains, she might be the worst one because she's just simply completely non-threatening. And I get that that's the point. I understand that that was the point. But Bellwether just has absolutely zero screen presence to her.
If you're talking about like a dark villain, she's pretty much incriminating and forcing prejudice onto almost half the population. Whereas Gothel is only just a threat to one person. She's a threat to pretty much almost half the population of Zootopia. You can't say that's not a dark villain.
I mean, I feel like Bellwether's plot is more memorable than Bellwether herself, and that's my problem with Bellwether. I feel like the evil of a character should be just as apparent in the way that they're animated, in the way that they're designed, than it should be with the actual stuff that they're carrying out. And Bellwether just kind of fails in that regard for me. Yeah, her plot is evil for sure, but I don't get any intimidation factor. And Gothel, she's a very, very personal villain, which makes her even scarier. Like Gothel, the scary thing about Gothel is that she's actually a Disney villain that could happen in real life. She's basically a kidnapper. She's basically a child abductor. That's some scary shit. That's some real life shit.
You're basically talking about how earlier Zootopia is more culturally relevant. People like Bellwether do exist in real life who abuse power and abuse prejudice to make their point.
Yeah.
People like her do it. I mean, we see examples of that everywhere. Depressingly, I hate to bring real life into this. We see that on the news and in real life a lot. While it's more exaggerated because she's a sheep and stuff, it's still something that could happen. People who abuse their power and force prejudice to gain power. Yes, kidnappers do happen, but as I said, she's threatening a whole bunch of people and ruining countless lives because of it.
Yeah, but we get to see the impact of Rapunzel being gone on the kingdom. That's not just washed over. We see how depressed everyone in the kingdom is, especially the parents. Like I said, it's a more personal struggle, but that doesn't make it less effective.
We only see that in a few select parts of the movie, and when she comes back, it's completely glossed over. It doesn't really play a major part in the movie at all. As you said yourself, the movie's more of a road trip movie, and that's the major point of the movie.
Does Zootopia have an iconic moment in it? Does Zootopia have it? No, listen to me. Just listen. Hold on. Just listen to my point. Does Zootopia have a moment that you can just literally freeze frame and be like, that's Disney right there? Like, that's going to fit in just as well with Disney history as something like The Sorcerer's Apprentice or Circle of Life does. I feel like you can very much point to that with I Can See the Light, with all the lanterns. And with Zootopia, it's a very well-made movie and it's got a good plot. To me, there's no high of highs with Zootopia. There's no soaring moment of just, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this.
It's kind of hard to do that when the entire movie is that way. The entire movie is a high of highs. As I said, it's playing to Disney's strength. And what about the ending? The ending itself, where basically it points out like the importance of both cynicism and hopefulness. Those two kids playing together, the elephant and the cheetah kids playing together. I definitely call that iconic. And they don't say a word in Judy's voiceover. I'd call pretty much a lot of the entire movie in a way iconic, as you point out, culturally relevant. I think the entire movie itself has become iconic, and pretty much sets a new standard for Disney animation in general.
Dragon, put me out of my misery.
Wow. Okay, I think that's the most impressive one of the night right there. Guys, two excellent film choices here. You both came out a very different way, and I do respect it. You both had a solid, very solid. I want to make it very clear. You guys were absolutely. This is the most solid one I've heard from you guys all night.
Can I make a confession?
Yes.
I've only seen Tangled once, and I literally only picked it because of the villain argument.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I am not a big Tangled.
Yeah, well, I did. Well, it's to call you on some stuff here without fully throwing you under the bus. I did realize where you constructed half your argument from, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so look, at the end of the day, I'm coming at it from. I think Jacob, he really cleaned up this round. I think he came at a lot of excellent points. I didn't really hear a lot negative really lobbed at Zootopia. I think Tiki thought he had like some big winning cards in his hand with what about it's iconic, but I don't really think it held much water. I don't really think it did. I think Jacob was really on the money with. I'm going to give it to. Again, Jacob was arguing numbers of like numbers and kind of real life parables. I think Tiki I think he could have made some points about the whole child kidnapping thing. I think he threw like a half kind of Frollo thing there, but didn't really follow through on it at all, like the full Frollo comparison. So I'm giving it to.
Technically, I forgot kidnapping happens in this movie too.
Exactly. Again, that's the point. Is look, I'm giving it to Jacob. No.
All right. Very well earned, Jacob.
That's probably like one of my best arguments ever.
Yes. Okay. All right, guys. Who's feeling brave and lucky? Who wants to flip the coin?
I'll do it.
All right. Tiki, flip away. Remember, folks, heads gets a point, tails loses a point, and Tiki has indeed lost a point. Therefore, it's tied at the moment now, so it's one on one versus one. Jacob, do you want to flip the coin?
I'll go for it.
Okay, Jacob's flipping the coin. Let's see if Lady Luck spits in his face or plants a wet one on him. And she spits him right in the eye. So now Tiki has 1, Jacob has 0.
All right.
And yet,
playing to 5, so this is going to be a longish speed round.
Can we at least make it to like 3 or something, considering I have nothing?
Dragon, what do you think? Do you want to play to 3?
Not really numbers, man. Will that work?
I mean, basically, if you get 2 points anyway, there's no way I'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, we'll play a 3 then.
All right.
Okay.
Besides, that'd make things go by a bit quicker.
Yeah.
All right. Also, I'll warn you guys. I have some tricks up my sleeve for this one.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, that makes me nervous.
All right.
That means we'll have to choose carefully. That means we'll have to choose carefully for this one.
Yep. Got a slathering of good options here, and only 3. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, here's one that's New Year's related. Which Disney or Pixar film do you watch to usher in the new year? Like, what do you watch it like right before as the ball drops? You have whatever have you. Like, what do you watch like to kind of transition into years? Disney or Pixar, but an animated movie.
Disney or Pixar.
Disney or Pixar.
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, Tiki's got Emperor's New Groove.
Ooh, this is tricky.
I'll remind the folks at home, it's 30 seconds followed by a 15-second rebuttal, so that's kind of what we're working with time-wise.
So it can basically be any movie?
It can be any Pixar or Disney animated movie, yes.
Usher in the new year.
Usher in the new year, buddy.
I mean, I'm basically just say any movie, but what movie do I do? I mean, I know I have to be
much.
Yes.
Casablanca.
Home on the Range.
God no.
Chicken.
Probably there will do again. Home on the Range is probably their worst 2D animated movie.
Wait, so wait, what?
Home on the Range is probably their worst 2D movie.
Right.
What movie would I go? I know I have to be quick. I mean, I'll just.
So you got at least 20 Pixar films to pick from. You have, like, what is it, Tiki? Like over 50 for Disney?
Over 50. Yeah, probably closer to 75.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure in the new year, I think I'll go with something different. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Yay. All right. Jacob has Nightmare.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay. Let's see how it plays out.
Right. Okay. I'll go first. Emperor's New Groove is like one giant party of a Disney movie, and that's exactly the way I want to start the new year off. It's like the gags in Emperor's New Groove are timeless. There are so many memorable quips and gags and fourth wall breaks in Emperor's New Groove. It's such a fun movie. It's a movie that you can just turn your brain off and not have to think about. And more importantly, it doesn't revolve around a holiday that's already 5 days old by the time we watch it.
Yeah, that's definitely. I was more considering the movie Nightmare Before Christmas to be a movie that movie that you would watch it on like New Year's Eve. Like it's a movie that you can only watch during this time of year, but it's definitely it's also an extremely timeless movie. Yes, it's only fun. Yes, it's about 5 days old, but you're still the spirit of Christmas is still lingering in you by that point. And the movie itself pretty much ushers in a new year and a new era for. It's actually a very good way to usher in a new year of just a new year and everything.
Emperor's New Groove is all about turning over a new leaf. So on a thematic level, it's also the perfect movie to watch. It's the perfect movie to watch, be reflective, like, man, I was a real jerk last year. I'm going to do better. Not only that, but like I said, it's also the perfect movie.
And the thematic element of Nightmare Before Christmas is new beginnings, just like with Jack's new beginning. Emperor's New Groove it can be kind of exhausting, but Nightmare Before Christmas is a more relaxing experience, and definitely I think an altogether better experience overall. Okay.
All right. Well, I gotta tell you, boy, oh boy, I think Jacob just kind of stumbled during the 30-second mark. Tiki kind of fired one against the bow of the ship, if you will, with the whole 5 days old point right in the stars. Like, wow, that's yeah, that's it. They kind of took it. I think it took him down a peg, and I think that's why Jacob was stumbling a little in kind of the front end there. But I think he kind of balanced out after that. So I got to tell you, I think I gotta give it to Tiki.
All right.
Right now, Tiki's 2.
My other pick was going to be Lion King. I probably should have gone with that one.
All right. Okay, guys. Okay, this is a quick draw. All right, here's a quick draw for you. So again, I'm going to say 2 things. When you hear the second thing, you pick.
Okay.
So
and this one's for all. This one's for all the beans.
You know what? Actually, hold on a second. I'm going to change the game here. All right. Okay. Got it. Okay. All right.
And this one's for all the beans, right?
If I win, yeah.
Yeah, if Tiki wins, that's all she was. I'm going to make sure I get this one in. Okay. Because we were talking a little bit about earlier on, what is the best film from the Disney Renaissance?
Oh man, that's a big one.
From the Renaissance or the Revival?
No, the Renaissance, the original, you know. Little Mermaid to, let's say Little Mermaid to, what would you guys cut off? Lion King, or should we go?
Tarzan.
Okay, but
It's officially called. It's from Little Mermaid to Tarzan.
okay, Little Mermaid, the Tarzan, Disney Renaissance. That's what we're working with. So out of the films that came out within that time, what have you?
I'm going to take a risk here. The Rescuers Down Under.
All right, Jacob.
This is definitely going to be an interesting battle. I got it. Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, now guys, there's something I neglected to tell you. So this is one of the experimental questions.
Okay.
All right, so I need you. Okay, this is a swap. So, Tiki, you're going to be going first, but you're going to be arguing Beauty and the Beast. Jacob, you will have Rescuers Down Under.
Beauty and the Beast is probably the easier argument, so you took away my passion, but you didn't take away my spirit, Dragon.
Dragon, why do you always do this to me?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like if Jacob loses this one, we should probably keep going until playing to 4. I don't necessarily feel like this is a fair fight on Jacob's end.
No, we'll continue. We can end here. I'll give it my all.
Oh man! All right.
It's not my fault that fate hates Jacob. All right, that's not my fault.
I'm just saying. I might be the biggest Rescuers Down Under fan on the planet. All right, if anyone's gonna argue, it's me.
Dragon entirely is your fault.
Yeah, I warned you. There was going to be I warned you there were going to be experimental questions.
You didn't say anything about switching.
Hence, to be fair, that's kind of the first thing that I figured would happen once you said experimental.
Well, me too, but I wasn't expecting it for this one.
I should have said like fucking Hercules or something like that.
Like I should have gone. I mean, heck, like I should have gone with like Pocahontas.
Oh, that's a really bad one.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
That would have been a good one. I should have anticipated. Although knowing my luck, he probably wouldn't have pulled the switch with that one.
All right, so I guess
let's just Beauty and the Beast. Go ahead,
okay.
Tiki.
The following is a list of reasons why Beauty and the Beast is so good. It won the best. It's the Best Picture nominee, the first animated feature nominated for Best Picture. Gaston is the best Disney villain of all time. The Beast is one of the most memorable Disney protagonists and best designs of all time. Belle is one of the best Disney princesses of all time. It's got one of the best soundtracks of all time. It's got one of the best romantic songs of all time. It's got some of the best animation ever. Of all time.
Best movie ever of all time. I'm just kidding.
I don't even
RVB.
Boston Red Sox.
The Rescuers Down Under is definitely an interesting take. It was actually Disney's first take at a sequel to one of their animated movies, and as such, it actually elevates it from the original in many ways. Like, it's a much more engaging plot. Definitely, talk about beautiful animation. The vistas and animated and Australian landscapes are gorgeous. Some great aerial animation with Marahute the eagle, a gripping plot, a very interesting and threatening villain. Gripping score and everything. Rescuers Down Under can't be beat.
This is part where I have to talk shit about Rescuers Down Under, which I am not happy about.
How do you think I feel? Go on.
Hold on. I get to have a second to formulate my thoughts.
I know. This is the Haunted Mansion all over again.
It really is. I mean, at the end of the day, like, as good as Rescuers Down Under is, sure, it blows the original Rescuers out of the water, but the original Rescuers is kind of a shit movie. Beauty and the Beast is just a completely standalone masterpiece.
I'm stealing myself. Tale is all this time like a tale we've seen countless times before. The Beauty and the Beast is like if you've seen one Disney romance movie, you've seen them all. Disney doesn't really do a lot of action movies, and I think this movie really encapsulates that effort. Beauty and the Beast is derivative.
You can literally hear the pain in his voice.
Can you really? Can you blame me? You really blame me?
I actually sort of agree with some of those points, and I wouldn't have said them with such like questionable cadence. Like, I'm comfortable with calling Beauty and the Beast somewhat derivative.
Yes, I mean, I do kind of agree with that, but it was like near the end of the point, and that's why I was near the end of 15 seconds, and that's why I was trailing off.
All right.
Okay, well, I tell you, sorry, the thing that keeps cracking me is that derivative thing. It's very because it sounded like it was so derivative.
It literally sounded like it physically hurt Jacob to say it.
It did. Oh, okay. Well, look, that just cracks me up on itself. But looking, that's the thing. The only thing that's giving me pause is again, I'm not. I would have loved to hear what was derivative about it. That's the thing. But again, I got to tell you, that's the thing. I mean, Jacob. I got to be honest. Jacob was winning me over with that argument because he really dug his heels. I mean, he impressed me with that 15 seconds. I wish it was a little bit longer, but again, I don't make the rules. Well, Anyway,
I honestly think you should give it to Jacob. He had an uphill battle, and he really held his own.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way too. No, legitimately, I'm feeling that way too. I was leaning towards giving Jacob the points that was kind of catching my breath from the laughter at the end there. Okay, so Tiki's got 2, Jacob's got 1. Okay, next one could be the ending. Or Jacob tying it up.
I honestly can't believe that.
Yeah. I don't know. Hilarity goes far sometimes. I don't know.
Jacob, I honestly think the difference is that I am honest to God a little bit indifferent about Beauty and the Beast and think it's just a little bit overhyped. Whereas Rescuers Down Under, I'm super passionate about. So it's like that is kind of the difference. It's like you'll notice that I did just kind of list like this is why Beauty and the Beast is considered awesome. It's not exactly, and it's just kind of the general consensus.
All right, you guys. I have a fun one that you guys, specifically you two, are going to love.
Oh, okay.
Or something kind of more New Year's, like kind of in time. Basically, something alludes to next year. What do you think?
It's going to be another tricky one.
Us two are going to love.
One's 2019 related, one song you guys are going to love. So you want to go with the one you're going to love, huh?
Yeah, I'd rather go that route.
Okay, a little reward for the spoonful of vinegar instead of a spoonful of sugar. Okay.
All right, this is going to be another tricky question.
No. Would I do a thing like that? No, seriously, this is not a trick question. It's this is totally this is something I call duck versus duck.
Okay.
All right, and of course you two being the ducktail. Hello, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure Jacob was there. Okay. All right. Duck versus duck. And basically, I'm going to give you 2 duck-themed characters because you two are such DuckTales fanatics. I figured you'd get a kick out of this one. Okay. I'm going to list off 2 names. You guys are going to... It's kind of a quick draw meets a duck theme essentially here. Okay, so you're gonna hear two names, two duck themed characters from the Disney lore, who both have appeared in the recent DuckTales.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gizmo Duck versus Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck.
All right.
Gizmo Duck.
Jacob, you got Gizmo.
Again, I hardly even think this is a fair fight.
Well, I mean, listen, it's two names. How is that not fair? It's two names, and whoever says it first.
Darkwing Duck has a whole series built around him. Gizmo Duck's only had a few in both shows, and he's pretty much had a one-note personality.
Okay, can we change it to Ludwig von Drake?
Now I'll fight for Gizmo Duck.
Are you sure?
I mean, I can make some good arguments with Gizmo Duck.
Okay, fair enough. Alrighty. Let's get dangerous, motherfuckers, because Darkwing Duck is one of the best animated Disney characters to come out of the TV landscape. I mean, my God, what a fantastic character this is. He's a father. He's a crime stopper. He's hilarious, but he's also completely self-serious. I just think Darkwing Duck is just an incredible mix of personality, and there's a reason he's such a cult icon for Disney.
All right. While his appearances were far and few between, Gizmo Duck definitely left an impact on fans of both DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, and both the original DuckTales and the new DuckTales, I should say. Mainly because he's the classic superhero archetype. He believes in truth and justice, but he's also a mama's boy. He loves his mama. He loves his job. He loves working for Scrooge, and he loves helping people. He's not nearly as self-centered, but he has just as much of importance to family as Darkwing does.
I honestly just think Darkwing's character design and personality just put him over the edge, frankly. I mean, it's like you can't go wrong with that iconic purple outfit, and his personality of being braggadocious and full of himself is exactly what makes him who he is.
You ever hear of less is more? Well, I think less is definitely more with Gizmo Duck, because definitely that's pretty much Darkwing's only archetype. That's pretty much all he does. Like after nearly 100 episodes, it gets kind of grating. Gizmo Duck's, and especially in the new appearances and his earnest appearance from Lin-Manuel Miranda, definitely solidifies him as a more earnest kind of character.
Interesting. All right, I think you guys have both solid arguments for Darkwing and Gizmo. I'm gonna tell you, you know what? I think Jacob kind of impressed me with that because I still don't think. Again, I think Gizmo had a lot. I think Jacob brought to light a lot of Gizmo's good qualities. So I think they were kind of even from the family perspective in a different capacity. And again, I think we just kind of basically the 15-second mark had turned into a debate of design. And I don't know. I think Jacob kind of got his heels in there enough. I think Jacob would see just like he just passed. I'm going to give Jacob that point.
All right.
All right. So this next one's for all the marbles.
Don't get me wrong.
All marbles.
Darkwing Duck's the bomb.
Yeah, they're both good characters,
dude. I get more compliments at Disney wearing my Darkwing Duck T-shirt. I mean, it's crazy. It's like literally like every half hour or 15 minutes, someone will be like, "Darkwing Duck, Darkwing Duck."
Yeah, from what I hear, it was Disney's Batman the Animated Series, so it's got stay power.
Alan Burnett, one of the main writers of Batman the Animated Series, actually came up with Darkwing Duck's name.
You likey. Okay. So, all right, let's see. Oh boy, got some. Okay, look, let me ask you this. All right. You want a question about 2019 Disney or question about some Disney series. Disney anime.
2019 Disney.
2019 Disney.
What was that?
Okay. Basically,
Okay.
some of the old Disney series or the 2019 Disney.
Okay, I'll just go with what Tiki said.
Okay. All right. Given the recent very disappointing Kim Possible live action TV movie they're doing, I've been thinking, what's Disney gonna do next? What Disney TV series should get a live action treatment next?
Gravity Falls.
Okay, Tiki's got Gravity Falls.
I don't know.
You got a lot to pick from. Big deep, buddy. I'm not saying these are good ideas, by the way. I'm just saying, what do you think? It could be. We can approach from what do you think they're going to do next, or just like what Disney series? Either would you again? You can want to sell it as good, so you don't even have to sell it as good. You just got to sell it as live action. Why should it get the live action treatment?
Basically,
Like seldom, like both practicality reasons.
Sure, by all means. Again, just like which should is the emphasis. Like which Disney TV series should, which Disney animated TV series, which Disney animated series should get the live action treatment next. If Kim Possible got it, what should get it next?
It's a bit of a. I mean, there's a lot of ones that would work. A lot of stuff that wouldn't.
Could be either.
Freaking Dave the Barbarian.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm glad you picked that one. Nice. Oh, I'm proud of you, Jacob. I'm my boy. All right. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, just real quick too. You just remind me, it's like, I wonder if they're going to put that in the new Aladdin movie. I wonder if they're going to put Proud of Your Boy in there. It just occurred to me. I swear to God, it just occurred to me, like, wait a minute, yeah, Proud of Your Boy. there.
But what in the new Aladdin movie?
If they put that in the new Aladdin movie, then the fact of the matter is that you and I are going to be cracking up in the theater, and we will be the only two people on the planet cracking up in the theater.
What are you guys talking about?
The deleted Aladdin song, Proud of Your Boy, Aladdin singing to the mother that didn't make the final cut.
Oh, that.
And for some reason that I can't even remember, it's become like a huge running gag between Dragon and I.
Well, again, it's basically the Proud of Your Boy, you have thumbs up from Poppy. Those are the two runners.
Right.
Okay. In all seriousness, Tiki, whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's end this out in style, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Gravity Falls is a show that just completely demands a continuation, but it's also a show with a definitive ending. It's a show where if you continue the actual storyline, you run the risk of ruining the integrity of what Alex Hirsch accomplished with his 2-season run. So what's the perfect way to do that? What's the perfect way to counteract that? Do a live action version. It retells the story, but it also tells the story in a completely new medium.
I think for many reasons, Dave the Barbarian would make a perfect jump to live action. I mean, it's big. The main characters are human, and with some simple computer graphics and stuff like that, or even just some actors and stuff. It would perfectly play into the wacky cartoonish nature of the show. It could be like the perfect live action cartoon in a way. I mean, that show was like criminally underrated. It only lasted one season, and it was freaking awesome. Just imagine what they could do now.
I love Dave the Barbarian, but it wasn't exactly a hit. I don't necessarily think it's something Disney would greenlight. Gravity Falls was a major hit. Gravity Falls has already played around with live action and other mixed media in these shows run. And I mean, I just think there's so much in Gravity Falls that would be cool to see in live action.
See, Gravity Falls finished. If Gravity Falls, as you said, perfectly told a story. Why would it tell the same exact story again, only in live action? That wouldn't make any sense. Day the Barbarian could be continued in live, and like I said, it would be sure it wasn't a hit, but this would be a good way to reintroduce it, and it's actually become quite popular once again.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I think Jacob had a really strong point towards the tail end there. Oh boy. I gotta tell you. So of course, very interesting picks, Gravity Falls, and Tiki, let's get to the first. Let's get to the root image, by the way, so we can block. There we go. Perfect. Nice. All right. Well, guys, I'll tell you this. I feel Jacob came with a really relevant point towards the very end. I think Tiki was starting with it wasn't a hit. It would not get the green light, which is tempting because again it's fitting into the whole should, which makes me really want that. But Jacob also looked at it from another practicality of why just adapt it in live action again. So I'm kind of at war on this one, guys. You both have really they both kind of fizzled out your own points in a good way. I mean, they both kind of cancel each other's points out, and a good point was raised, then it was kind of evened out. But tell you what. Okay, I guess I can make an instinct. Okay, I can make a decision here. Do you want to flip the coin just for the heck of it? I'm going to ask you here. Do you guys want to both vote on flipping the coin just for the randomness of it all?
I mean, I'd rather you just make a decision personally, because I feel like this has been so natural. I feel like it'd be a little disingenuous to flip the coin.
Okay. All right. Okay, just give me 1 second. I just want to make absolute certain with the final tally here with all the strengths and weaknesses. You know what? It's close, guys. I want to emphasize it's close, but ethically, I gotta give the Tiki. I got it. Tiki gets the point.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate it. Get it. And good fight, Jacob. You really gave me a run for my money in the speed round.
Surprised I even won a few of those.
Yep.
I think Jacob really stepped up his game after the first 2 rounds. I think that's when Jacob was kind of on fire for a lot of it.
Yeah, for sure. He was making me sweat.
The Zootopia argument is probably one of my best moments ever on this show.
Pretty much.
I think so, Jacob. Greg, actually, I think there was one argument that if Jacob would have hit it in this last speed round question, he would have absolutely nailed the round. If he would have just compared what my idea was to basically condense Gravity Falls into a movie to what they did with the last Airbender movie, I would have been DOA.
That's a good point. Yes, that would
I would have been completely DOA at that point.
I would have double X'd him there, buddy. Boy, that would have got him.
Well, let's just. Well, my perspective on that is pretty much anyone could have made a better Last Airbender movie than M. Night Shyamalan.
Hey, M. Night Shyamalan's coming back, man. He's in a comeback.
I know he's making a comeback, but he just wasn't cut out for The Last Airbender.
All right.
I'm surprised nobody went with Recesses there. It's my own 2 cents. I was expecting one of you to pick Recess.
That was actually another one of my choices, also The Weekenders, but I didn't know enough about that show.
I honestly think Recess would be a little bit off-putting as a live-action show. I think.
Again, I'm not arguing best. I'm saying which should get there.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I didn't go with that one, because it wouldn't have really made a lot of sense.
Would have mentioned too if you guys kind of factored in budget a little bit more, because again, that's the thing, because that's what's killing this Kim Possible movie right now. It's like the budget is like, oh my god, it's embarrassing.
That's honestly probably what would kill a Gravity Falls movie.
Can we afford the hat? What about the book?
One of my points is going to be is like Gravity Falls does stuff that can only be done in animation. Like if they do that in TV live action, it just wouldn't work.
What do you mean Cardellini won't do it?
God.
That point probably would have also won me. Like, I mean, look at some of the stuff in Weird Beginning. Try pulling that off in live action on a TV budget.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Dragon. Last, any New Year's words of wisdom to end this out on?
Folks, we don't know what's coming in 2019. When we've heard what's coming, we don't know how it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to live up to our hopes and dreams. But there's always some hope. There's always some hope that the Disney company, they're going to give us some magic, and they're not going to traumatize us too much. So there's always a little hope, and yeah.
Well, they're getting Fox next year, so they very well could still traumatize us in some way.
That's true. That's true. Next year is going to bring about widespread change. Quite possibly, will change the very fabric of things as we know it. Star Wars reaching Episode 9, and of course, Star Wars is in kind of like a dicey area as is, just again with their success rate.
Not to mention Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, you got Star Wars, of course, Toy Story 4, which I'm going to be sweating bullets for when it comes out, both of like anticipation and especially what if it doesn't. I'm going to be basically like the night of. I'm going, oh God, what if it doesn't do well? Oh,
it's going to be your version of Mary Poppins Returns.
I mean, we all know the movie's going to make money. I mean, we know it's going to make money.
Well, sure. I mean, I know it's going to make money, but I'm saying like, oh God, I hope it's not going to cheapen the third one. No, like don't be. No, don't be a cash-in. Please be worth all the hype and hopes and dreams I've held in my head. Please. And of course, again, Marvel is growing very bigger. Again, the Marvel family will be growing even bigger with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, which Kevin Feige recently has confirmed that it's looking really good for both of them to be kind of worked in with next year. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll see. At the very least, the gear is going to be in motion. We're going to be getting some more insight on that. Again, Disney Plus, God help us all. So, Happy New Year, everybody.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and a Happy New Year.